Someone likes something you don't like, here's how you can still build connection. Ask them, what do you like about it? Remember, there's multiple dimensions to any one topic. For example, if you don't like art, art is also closely related to history, psychology, music, and other things. By asking them what they like about it, it's likely you'll find a part of that topic that you can still connect through and talk about. If you want to learn social skills, follow me. Smiling is super powerful for social situations. I'd recommend doing it as much as possible in nearly every scenario. It shows confidence and happiness, and it's very likely to make anyone around you feel more positive as a result of hanging out with you. If you want to learn social skills, follow me. How to build connection with someone faster. You want to have a wide variation of shared experiences. The more different things you go through or do together, the more comfort you're going to build. This is more important than how long you've known them for. If you want to learn social skills, follow me. People who are more easily interested in stuff and find jokes funny more easily tend to be easier to get along with and have better social skills. Remember, there's always different aspects you can talk about of the same topic. Someone who doesn't like sport but likes art could talk about football by talking about the logos that they use and the art that's used in them. If you want to learn social skills, follow me. If someone makes a joke that's not very good in a conversation, first thing I think people should do is try and add to it to make it good. Assuming that everyone in the conversation wants everyone to have a good time, which is most conversations. So if you've got a joke lined up and you're not sure if it's good or not, first of all, remember that social situations massively favour risk takers. Secondly, just go for it in nearly every situation, because ideally other people should help you out if it's not good. If someone puts someone else down for making a bad joke, in my opinion, that's generally bad social skills. If you want to learn social skills, follow me. Here's something simple you can do by text if someone you know is having a hard time. Do you have some kind of video, meme, or picture that you guys found funny ages ago but now you've forgotten about? If so, send them it. One thing that tends to work well also is to bombard them with loads of funny memes. I'd also recommend to keep a folder on your phone or an album that is a collection of funny memes that you found for purposes like this and others. If you want to see my best tips for social skills, go here. My organisation, Social Shortcuts, does one-to-one social skills coaching, including a completely free trial session of it. We work on areas such as, but not limited to, these. I've coached social skills full-time for over 10 years, and I have a bunch of other experienced coaches on my team. If you feel like you need help with your social skills, it's very likely this is going to be a good option, especially for free trial session. So if you're interested, there's more information on our website, socialshortcuts.com. Click the link in my bio and you can book one there, or just email info@socialshortcuts.com and I'll answer it and we can organise something. Hope you're all enjoying the videos. I'm still just about managing to keep up with all of the comments. If I've missed your comment, it's a mistake. So please continue with the questions and feedback and I'll interact with you guys. Peace. What to do if someone doesn't respond to your text messages? First of all, like I always say, managing your emotions, in my opinion, is by far the most important thing in social skills. So first of all, what I would do is assume that it's not because they're ignoring you on purpose. It's something else. They forgot, they're going to respond later, something like that. Then I'd wait for quite some time. This might vary depending on how fast you normally text, but usually a few days is good. And then try to start a new conversation, ideally not referencing the fact that they didn't respond before, as it adds extra pressure and can look kind of needy and pushy. Start a new conversation, ideally bringing up something interesting or engaging. Probably the best thing to usually is to find a meme that you think that they'll like and send from it. If that doesn't work, I'd probably repeat that step one more time. And if that doesn't work, I'd probably wait around double the time and then send them a message asking what's going on. Something friendly and casual seeming, like, hey, have I done something wrong? Have I bothered you? With a smiley face. So it's not angry or upset, it's just asking in a friendly way. After that, they haven't responded 3 times in a row. It's starting to look quite likely that they're not talking to you on purpose. So I would probably take what seems to be the hint, maybe try again a few months down the line and things might have changed, or they might get in touch with you. Along the way, another effective strategy is, if you have them on social media, post stories, especially stories that you think they're likely to engage with and message you about. I've coached social skills for over 10 years now, and I've made a completely free course featuring my best tips that you can see if you check the link in my bio. We also do one-to-one coaching, and you can book a free trial session there. Plus, we have a WhatsApp chat where we discuss social skills. You can see it all here. Sometimes a friendly debate about some topic can get heated, especially if it's about something controversial or polarizing, and this can leave a feeling of hostility between you and whoever you're communicating with. So I think it's good practice socially to soften things and re-establish connection if you've just had a heated debate with someone, to show that you connect with them as a human first and you might disagree on topics second. To do this, don't leave the conversation having ended on the heated debate. Make another topic that's more easygoing and you can chat about in a nice way, and ideally, if possible, make jokes too, because humour releases tension. If you want to learn social skills, follow me, and if you want to see my best tips on social skills, go here. Here's a way you can remind someone to do something by text without seeming pushy at all. Simply wait a long time to send the message that ends the conversation. So for example, you say, hey, can you send me the pictures you took from yesterday? They say, yeah, sure, I will. At that point, wait for quite a long time before you say something like, okay, cool, thanks, by message. And that way, if loads of time has passed since the conversation, so if they forgot, you remind them, but without having to say, hey, by the way, can you please remember? If you want to learn social skills, follow me. If you're debating someone, you ideally want to stay away from having an aggressive, insulting, or mocking tone if you actually want to change their mind, even if what you think they're saying is ridiculous or that their opinion offends you. Otherwise, you're likely to cause them to be defensive and more stubborn, and turn the debate into something that's more about two people's egos attacking each other rather than about the point, and you're going to be less likely to change their mind. If you're passionate about the topic and you think it's something that people need to change their minds about, then obviously you want to take the route that is more likely to actually change their mind, which is nearly always going to be the route that is less hostile. If you want to learn social skills, follow me. Tip for managing your emotions in social situations. If someone communicates to you and you're not sure if it was meant in a bad way or a good way, assume it's the good way and then act on it. You'll keep your emotions higher, and a lot of the time people aren't even sure themselves how they meant it, so your confidence can sway them towards the positive side. If you want to learn social skills, follow me. I'm seeing tons of memes floating around about cutting people off. I've literally not seen one on fixing relationships, how to set boundaries in a healthy way, or forgiveness. In my opinion, this culture where it's cool and trendy to cut people off is toxic and bad for humanity. Obviously, I'm not saying to never cut someone off, but I think the world will be a much better place if people are given quite a few chances to fix things or be forgiven. There's already tons of unnecessary isolation and segregation in our society, and we have this throwaway culture which is now extending to actual people. So in my opinion, you should make sure to also value preventing problems and fixing problems when they do occur in any friendships and relationships that you have, as well as cutting people off when it's necessary. If you want to learn social skills, follow me. In my opinion, jealousy is a pointless emotion that we don't need. Some people argue that it helps to motivate you, but I think if you're capable of basic intelligence and motivating yourself through reasoning, you don't need to masochistically whip yourself with negative emotions to do so. Additionally, managing your emotions is, in my opinion, by far the most important thing in social skills, and having a positive emotional state is one of the ways that you can do better. Here's how we can reduce jealousy. In my opinion, the vast majority of the time, you should only be comparing yourself to your past self, not to others. Even if you're better than everyone in the world at everything, that can change. So as soon as you start comparing yourself to others, you've now lost control of your confidence, ultimately, and made it unstable. Obviously, it's unrealistic to do this 100% of the time, but as much as possible, you want to discipline yourself to only be comparing yourself to your past self rather than to other people. Over time, you can start to change your habits. If you want to learn social skills, follow me. And if you want to see my very best tips for social skills, go here. Teasing or banter is friendly and often a sign of flirting as well. This kind of humour is always at least part insult, but it's primarily friendly and secondarily insulting. So the overall impact is that it doesn't hurt people's feelings. Treading the line between friendly and insulting is commonly used in bullying, where it's plausibly deniable that they were joking. If what they're saying is hurting your feelings, you can test whether it was a mistake or not by telling them that you didn't like it. If they respond with something like, it's just a joke, you should get a sense of humour, then it's likely that they're bullying you. And if they apologise and try to correct themselves, it's likely they were just trying to be playful and they messed up one time. If you want to learn social skills, follow me. How to be less jealous. Discipline yourself as much as possible to compare yourself only to past versions of you rather than to other people. Don't follow profiles on social media that make you compare yourself to them and feel negative constantly. As much as possible, base your happiness and your confidence on how well you stick to your own principles rather than anything external or about status, etc. If you want to learn social skills, follow me. Tip for being a better friend or a better partner. Don't put down the stuff they like. So for example, if they like modern art and you think modern art is stupid, don't say that. Instead, what I'd recommend is you look for an attribute of it that you do like or you do find interesting. If we listed 100 relevant attributes to any one topic, there's basically always going to be something in there that you find halfway interesting or that you like. If you want to learn social skills, follow me. How people end up not liking each other for no reason. A says something B doesn't like, but they pretend it's okay. Then B is socially negative to A and A thinks there's no reason. Both think the other person's the aggressor and now you hate each other for no reason. Instead, ask why they did it and say that you didn't like it. You learn boundaries and have positive interactions, making Earth happier. If you want to learn social skills, follow me. How to make friends in a new social circle, like a new workplace or a new class you're going to. 1. Get talking to new people as soon as possible, ideally before you even go there, and then you can build momentum. 2. Aim to get to a hello basis with every single person in the situation as fast as you can. What I mean by that is, would they say hi to you if you walked past them on the street the next day? 3. Try to spend a bit more time with the people who know more people there, at least initially. 4. Wear something interesting that people can easily comment on and talk to you about. 5. Sit or stand in areas where you're near more people or where people are walking past you. If you want to learn my very best social skills tips, go here. If you're comparing yourself to other people, then your confidence becomes unstable because it's based on something that's outside of you. In my opinion, most people compare themselves to other people way too much, and it should be done almost never. The only person you should really compare yourself to, in my opinion, is your old self. And even better than that, I'd only compare yourself to the effort that you used to put in, rather than the actual result, as that can also change based on something that's outside of your control. If you can discipline yourself to do this, you'll have much more stable confidence and happiness. Plus, you'll probably get the results that you want as well, because we tend to do better when we're motivated by intrinsic things rather than extrinsic stuff. If you want to see my very best social skills tips, go here. Here's a tip to not be annoying to talk to. Have you ever come across a person who just says loads and loads of stuff at you and doesn't let you talk? The problem here is too many statements in a row. So all we need to do to fix this is introduce questions every now and then, or silences, but questions are better for making your conversation still keep flowing. So if you think this might be you who's saying too much stuff and talking at people, just add a question every now and then and it will solve this for you. How to have more friends. Stop being so bothered and taking it so personally if you're the person who texts first and tries to arrange things. It's not natural for humans to keep friendships over large distances using technology. We're designed to keep friendships with people we're physically close to, not over large distances using technology, but due to the structure of society these days, that is often not as much of an easy option. So if you're the person who likes to initiate things, and that doesn't affect your ego or your emotions too much, then you're going to end up with more friends. Just because someone doesn't text first doesn't necessarily mean that they're not a good friend. If you want to learn social skills, follow me. Important tip for social situations. Test things. If you're not sure if someone likes that topic of conversation or not, test talking about it a little bit, see how they respond. If you're not sure if someone likes that kind of humour or not, test a mild version of a joke and see how they respond. This means you can get the best middle ground between not missing out on opportunities in social situations and at the same time not diving in too far and offending someone, boring someone, or having some other negative consequence. Follow if you want to learn social skills. Remember names more easily by repeating it back to them. If someone says, "Hey, I'm John," say, "Hey, John," instead of just "Hey." By saying the name out loud, you're more likely to remember it. Do you run out of things to say in conversation? I've coached social skills full-time for over 10 years, and this is the main area that people want help with. Over more than 10 years of social skills coaching experience, I've developed a training program that allows me to take someone from consistently struggling with conversations and having constant awkward silences to the point where they almost never again in their lives run out of things to say, plus have more engaging interactions for everyone involved, including for themselves, in 10 to 20 hours of one-to-one coaching. Because of how commonly people want help with this area, and because I'm able to help people with it so quickly, so successfully, and in a healthy way, I decided to make it into a video course. This video course contains all of my content on this area, complete with exercises and ways to then integrate it into real life situations so that it becomes naturalized. It also contains all of my content on our second most requested module, which is how to overcome nervousness in social situations. If you think you might be interested in this, click the link in my bio and there's a lot more info there, including trailers and 1 or 2 sections of the course itself that you can watch to see if you want to enroll or not. Why telling someone just be yourself is terrible social advice. Obviously, I'm not going to suggest that you don't be yourself, and if anything I ever go through feels fake, then don't do it. But people have thousands of different versions of them being themselves. If you tell me you'd act the same to the Queen, your best mate, and Ronald McDonald, you're lying. People make adaptations based on the situation, their mood, what their aims are, while still being themselves and not being fake. By giving someone the oversimplified advice of just being yourself, you're potentially stopping someone who generally has trouble socially and finds that a painful thing in their life from making some adaptations and using some tips that still resonate with who they are, from making some changes to make them and other people they interact with happier. Newsflash, you can change what you're doing socially while still being yourself. Social tip, write down people's birthdays who you know, or use Facebook at the start of each month to see when people's birthdays are and then write them down. That way you can message them happy birthday, give them a present, whatever, and be more organised. Secondly, with people's birthdays, it's often a great opportunity to re-initiate conversation with someone who you might have lost touch with a bit or has been a bit unresponsive. And it's also a good opportunity to start making conversation with someone who you want to get to know better. Become a better listener by asking questions about detail. So if someone went to watch a movie the other day, you could ask, where did you go to watch it? How long was the movie? What was your favourite part? Ideally, we want to ask questions that do not make sense to answer yes or no. And then we're going to make our conversation open up more on average. And you can practice this by writing down a point someone might say to you and then thinking of example questions. Follow if you want to learn social skills. Quick social skills tip. Ideally, avoid negative topics. Topics that are either generally seen as negative or will be negative to the person or people that you're talking to. Unless you think you can build loads of common ground by having a similar opinion on them, or unless you feel like it's really important to bring up for some reason, minimize time spent on them, because otherwise you're likely going to make the conversation result in negative emotions, which will then be associated with you and make everyone feel not as good. Cheer up someone you know who's having a bad time by sending them a video or a photo of something that they find really funny but they've probably forgotten about from the past. Follow me if you want to learn social skills. 3 tips if you're joining a new social circle. 1 is try to get to the point where you're on a hello basis with everyone there. So that's the point at which if you walked past them on the street, they'd say hi to you. Usually that takes 5 minutes of conversation and swapping names. 2, try to make friends with people more who know more of the people there first, and then you'll get introduced to people more quickly. 3, try to position yourself in areas of a room or wherever you are where you're nearer to more people, there's more people who are going to walk past you, because then just in terms of where people are located, it's going to be easier to start conversations with people and for people to get to know. Be in the habit of having more than one way of contacting your friends. For example, if you have a friend who only uses their phone number, doesn't use social media, and you only have their phone number, and they lose their phone, that might mean that you lose your friend just because they lost their phone, which would be sad. So if they don't use social media, make sure to get their email address or physical address or something like that at some point, just in case. April Fool's Day has the opportunity for this social hack. Propose something to someone that you feel like might be a risky move. Say, for example, asking a friend out on a date. If the response isn't how you want, April Fools. Become a better listener with this tip. Repeat a part of what they said back to them. So if they said, yesterday I went to the park and played football, say, oh, you played football, so how was it? So you're repeating a snippet of what they said back to them. This helps give the impression that you're listening more and also helps you to actually listen more because you're repeating it out loud. You can also do that with people's names to remember people's names more easily. End up with twice as many friends and expand your social circle with this tip. Make a list of people where you want to see them and you believe that they still want to see you, and then write a number next to them of how many times you intend to see them within a year, and then try and cycle through the list and keep in contact with these people. Most people end up losing touch with people once a situation has changed. So this will probably include people from old jobs that you had or your school or an area that you moved away from, and extended family members like cousins and stuff. If you do this, I can pretty much guarantee that you're going to end up with twice as many friends within 6 months. Don't feel bad if you're the one initiating contact, because it's not natural for humans to use technology to communicate, and most people aren't going to make that effort. That doesn't mean they're a bad friend, so don't feel bitter about it. I'm happy being the person that makes more effort and ends up making good relationships. How to respond to a joke you don't like in social situations and minimize confrontation. So Will Smith slapping Chris Rock at the Oscars probably was a bit too much of an escalation too soon. Ideally, we want to escalate in smaller steps. So 1, assume that it was a mistake and just disapprove a bit with your body language or withdraw attention. 2, ask them why they keep making jokes about the thing you don't like and tell them that you don't like it. 3, after this point, we have to assume that they're now giving us a negative experience on purpose and not caring about our feelings. So then we have to respond with socially aggressive actions back, ideally in the same form that they're giving. So jokes about a point that they might find sensitive or something like that. So remember to only use aggressive actions for self-defense purposes in social situations, just like martial arts. That was Ryan, Social Shortcuts. Make sure to follow if you want to learn social skills. Make sure you're not taking your joke too far with this simple tip. Presumably, Will Smith hit Chris Rock at the Oscars yesterday because he overstepped the line with the joke he was making. So what you want to do, if you're telling a joke that's harsh, politically incorrect, polarizing or something like that, test a milder version of it first and check the reaction of your audience. Make sure to check the reaction straight after they receive the joke, because that's going to be the most genuine reaction before they start potentially masking things. If this is also a concept that applies to other areas of social skills too. For example, checking if someone's interested in a conversation topic or if they're going to accept your advances of flirting. Test a mild version first, check their reaction before you continue. Follow me if you want to learn social skills. Mother's Day gift idea that will cost you nothing, and you can also do this for birthdays and other events. So hand make a card, and on that card, write a list of a certain number of things that you like about them or you appreciate about them. In the middle of the list, you can add some like funny or sarcastic ones also. On the front of the card, draw a picture of them or a picture of something memorable. And now you've got a great handmade card. Won't cost you anything, might take you a little while to make, but it's a really good gift that I found for various occasions, including Mother's Day. Never running out of things to say tip. If you've thought of a topic that you can introduce into the conversation, store it in your mind until a point where you are stuck. Rather than use what you thought of straight away, you can save it for a point in time where you need it because you started to run out of things to say. Or you can use it just if you think it's a good idea, but try and bank things that you think of for later on when you might need them, and you'll be less likely to encounter awkward silences. Follow if you want to learn social skills. Manage your emotions better and do better in social situations with this one simple tip. If you're not sure if something was meant in a positive way or a negative way towards you, assume that it was meant in a positive way and react accordingly. This will help you manage your emotions. Remember, in my opinion, managing your emotions is the most important thing in social skills because it always leaks out somehow. You can't control it completely. And secondly, sometimes people don't know which one they meant themselves, or they kind of meant both. So by responding to it as if it was positive sets the frame that it was a positive communication towards you. Do you forget to take photos while you're out and wish that you'd taken them after? If so, here's a simple tip that I use to remember. I created a group chat with just one person, but could be multiple, and the only aim of the group chat was just once a day we'd post a picture of ourselves. If we're not doing anything interesting, it'd just be a boring selfie, but if we were doing something interesting, we'd take a picture of that, and it made me remember more to take pictures of good things that are happening during my day. Make the world a better place through social skills and socialization. Literally all you need is to have your intentions in the right place. If your intention is to make a positive experience for whoever you're communicating with, it's going to happen for sure. Of course, there's going to be individual situations where something goes wrong. No matter how good your social skills are, that's always going to happen. However, over the course of 1,000 situations, you're going to, on average, have a positive impact. I've coached social skills full-time for over 10 years, and I can say through seeing these encounters, even people with really bad social skills tend to have, on average, overall positive impact if they go in with the intentions in the right place. I 100% guarantee if you take this course, you'll almost never again in your life run out of things to say in conversation. Click the link. Make things run smoothly at a party, event, or some scenario where you're with the same people in the same area for an extended amount of time. What you want to do is get to what I call a hello basis with everyone there as soon as possible. So what I mean by a hello basis is that if you walked past that person on the street the next day, they'd say hi to you because they remember you. This usually takes about 5 minutes of talking and exchanging names. So you want to get to this point as fast as possible with everyone in the room, within reason obviously. And if you do this, it will make things much, much easier for you throughout the night, morning, whatever it is. So this is a good target to have early on if you're going to some kind of event and you want things to go smoothly socially. Don't withhold laughter. If you feel like you're going to laugh at something, laugh at it. Let your barrier for when you're going to laugh at something be low so that you laugh at things easily, with the exception of a very small percentage of scenarios that are extremely formal, like funerals or job interviews or something. This will mean that you're happier, it'll make everyone around you happier, and it will make the vibe more of a friendly and funny vibe and make it easier for people to make jokes, make people more comfortable making jokes with you. It'll make all of your social situations better on average if you follow this simple habit. You'll have a topic of common interest that you can talk about with someone, with nearly every single other person on the planet. Here's why. First of all, I think almost no one is not interested at least halfway in a list of over 100 things. I've come across almost no one before who can't bear to talk about anything other than a select few topics. Secondly, the things that interest people tend to be pretty common amongst people. For example, football, music, traveling. I've never come across someone before who doesn't like talking about traveling, even if they don't want to go traveling themselves. So there's never an excuse that you can't find a topic in common with someone to talk about. There will be one, and you'll be able to find it, especially if you use some of the tactics that I've talked about in earlier videos. I 100% guarantee if you take this course, you'll almost never again in your life run out of things to say in conversation. Click the link. Here's how to manage and even out the attention that you're giving to people if you're speaking in a group. Because in some circumstances, say you're speaking to a group of 2 people and one of them you're in a really engaged conversation with, and it's a topic that only you and that person know about, and the third person doesn't know much about it or is quiet or both. So what you can do is you can give different types of attention. So maybe that one person you're speaking to the most, but you can be closer to or facing more the other person. Perhaps you're flirting with one of them, clearly. The other one you can talk to more, perhaps. So there's different ways that you can give attention. So it can be in terms of eye contact, can be in terms of positioning, what angle your body is, who you're talking to the most, who you're showing the most flirtatious interest in, who you're showing the most interest in as a person. If you're showing lots of attention to one person in one way, you can use a different type of attention to the other person or people to even things out and make sure people aren't left out. Here's some tips for if you're someone who's quiet and you're going to like a party or something similar, some kind of event where there's people in a group socializing. I'm naturally a really, really quiet person. That's one reason why I decided to improve my social skills in the first place. One reason why I'm so good at coaching. You might not see that side of me, but here's some things you can do. So one, I mentioned in an earlier video in more detail on this, but if you try and socialize earlier in the day with things that are really easy, calling your friend, asking directions to someone, etc., you'll be in a more sociable mood once you get there. Second thing you can do is ideally go with someone who's quite talkative, but also will keep you involved and they will just go talk on their own. Third thing you can do, this is probably the main thing I think, positioning. So try to position yourself in a more central position in the group, because then you're involved in the interaction through not necessarily needing to talk, through body language, positioning, etc. The last thing you can do is focus more on speaking to individual people one by one instead of big groups at once. Here's some ways to leave conversations easily. So one is the most obvious one. You just wait for a silence and then you say why you need to leave. So the main point here is just be aware and ready for the silence. Sometimes there won't really be one if the conversation is going too fast, if you've got someone who's talking at you loads. Some body language things that you can do is, one, you can move so you're angled a bit away from them, so you're not square on. In 2 recent videos, I talked about being square on as better body language for communicating. So if you're not square on, it's better body language if you want to leave. You can try and create more distance between you both by walking backwards or something, if it doesn't seem rude. You can get an object in between you both. So obviously you don't want it to be like you just put a barrier there on purpose, because that's rude. But if you can do it in some smooth way, maybe in combination with tucking in your chair at a restaurant or something. And the last one is that you can try and lead the topic of conversation
onto a topic that's related to why you need to leave. So say you need to go play football, you can leave a topic onto sports. Here's some more ways to leave conversations easily. So this is based on if it's a group situation or you're at some kind of event where it's like a party or something, and it's kind of a social circle, so you can know some people there already. It's not too weird to speak to new people. So first thing you can do is you can start talking more to someone else. Usually when you find it hard to leave a conversation, it's because there's someone who's talking at you and not leaving hardly any gaps for silences for you to say you need to go now. So if you start to get more involved speaking to someone else in the group, then it's likely that they're going to be someone who can add more silences, and maybe it's just that one person you wanted to leave the conversation from anyway. Second thing you can do is you can get someone else talking to the person that's making it hard for you to leave, and then as they're talking more, you can start to go back out of a conversation, create some distance, some silence, say you need to leave now. Another thing you can do is if it's like a bigger group or there's like more space between you, maybe it's a table or something, you can talk to someone who's further away and you get an excuse to change your position so that you can hear each other more easily. Here's my third video on how to leave conversations more easily. One thing you can do is clearly check the time, and a lot of the time that's going to be perceived as you thinking about leaving. And it also often makes other people think about what's the time and when are they leaving also. So in a different kind of scenario where you want people to stay, you might want to avoid checking the time or avoid people seeing you do it too clearly. Second thing you can do, genuinely try to minimize as much as possible anything that's not genuine, etc. But if you really need to, you could fake a phone call, or you could get someone else to call you. Some people do this when they feel like they're like in a dangerous situation, etc. The last thing you can do, which I find quite amusing, is kind of a sneaky trick. If there's something of some interest behind them, you can point at it, mention it, then it's likely they're going to turn around and look, which is more than likely going to break their flow of conversation, creating a silence, which you can then use to say, yeah, I need to go because of X. Here's my idea for what your aim should be when you're speaking to new people for the purposes of 1, overcoming nervousness, and 2, getting better results from the interactions that you have. So my goal when I speak to new people is that I just attempt to make their day better. Anything past that is either a secondary goal or a bonus. The reason for that is if you go into a situation and you aim to get someone's number, persuade them of something, make some kind of impression, then you're more likely to work yourself up, put yourself under pressure, be nervous, and perhaps ultimately not do it. If I asked you to do 5 push-ups right now in one scenario and I asked you to do 15 in another, there's going to be more people who do 5. And then after we've done 5, we can say, let's do another 5. So once you've attempted to make their day better, it's a nice stepping stone onto the next thing. You're also doing a good thing for the world, and it means that that goal is ultimately under your control. No one can take that away from you because all it requires is your intention. If your goal is to get someone's number, then you're putting the power in their hands, whereas attempt to make their day better. How to pick what to do for a first meeting. So this might be a first date, it might be the first meeting of you and a friend, and this also includes groups of people as well. So the short answer is that you want it to be something where you and the other person are talking only. That's if you don't feel like there's going to be awkward silences. If you do feel like there's going to be awkward silences, you might want a bit of a distraction. So somewhere where it's just you and the other person talking only. Examples of that may include a bar, or if you don't drink, then a coffee shop. If it's sunny, then the park. There's nothing to do other than you two interacting. And that way, the most percentage of your time is spent with you two talking. If you feel like you might have trouble between you talking and holding a conversation, then I'd recommend that you have a slight distraction. So there's some sports on in the corner, there's some live music playing, something like that. Things like going to a cinema, especially, or other activities, might include sports or whatever. For a first meeting, I feel like are not as good because there's going to be a lower total amount of time for you two connecting, which is really important for 4 ways to make new friends. Number 1 is using online apps, which is the most lazy and least effective way in my opinion, but it's still worth doing because you can do it, for example, if you have a spare 5 minutes, you're waiting for a bus, you can go on Tinder or whatever you're using to try and meet new people. Way 2 is to go out in the night to bars, clubs, etc. Or if you don't drink, then there's other alternatives, festivals, things like that. These tend to be the most normal, socially acceptable things to do. And is quite easy if you've got a bunch of friends to go out with to speak to some new people while you're out. The third way is to speak to people during the day. So this is one that some people consider weird, But if you're intending to give a positive interaction to people, then you're going to add more positivity to the world, which I think is more important than whether you're weird or not. And honestly, one of the biggest life hacks I ever found was being able to speak to people at random times. The fourth way is through your social circle and being introduced to new people through mutual friends. This is what you want to ultimately aim for, because you start to get people introduced to you without you having to do anything. In my opinion, the third most important thing to improve your social skills is speaking to as many new people as possible. And in combination with that, stepping outside of your comfort zone. Sometimes people can speak to lots of new people, but they're always doing it in the same way. For example, asking someone directions you don't know is very easy. For someone who's super nervous or finds speaking to new people very unusual, it might help you for a while, but you're going to plateau if you keep doing that. So you need to do things that either make you a bit nervous, make you feel a bit uncomfortable, or test your levels of thinking or your skills in certain situations. I would put this as the first most important thing if you're basically completely isolated. If you're stuck inside some cave system within hollow earth on your own, then you're unlikely to improve your social skills no matter what. But yeah, speaking to new people is really important. You want to be doing that consistently and doing things that the sweet spot is just outside of your comfort zone. So if you're too far outside of your comfort zone, it can be too much, and within it, you'll plateau. Out of everything you can work on in social skills, I would say the most important thing is managing your own emotions. Your emotions are going to leak out whether you like it or not. Some people may be good to some extent at masking them for using body language, etc. But it's always going to leak out through things even to do with like how dilated your pupils are, etc., etc. You can never 100% stop your true emotions from coming out. And people are good at reading these things subconsciously, etc., even if they don't realise what they are. Essentially, social skills is basically all just different emotions being transmitted or requested. If I say something towards you or do some kind of communication, body language, etc., it's usually intended to have some kind of colour behind it in terms of emotion, i.e. I'm trying to make you laugh, I'm trying to flirt, I'm trying to get some information out of you, I'm trying to argue, something like that. So this is basically the fundamental base level to all of social skills. It's managing your own emotions, and obviously it has tons and tons of other benefits in other areas of your life also. Do you ever forget people's names just after they told you their name? This used to happen to me a lot. A lot of our clients talk about it. Happens especially if you're someone who has ADHD like I do. Here's some tips that can help to resolve that. 1, repeat their name back to them. So what I mean by this is if their name's Barnabas and they say, "Hey, I'm Barnabas," say, "Hi, Barnabas," instead of just "Hi." You can do this several times over. So for example, if you want to talk to them a bit later, you'd like to get their attention, use their name instead of just going "Oi" or whatever. If you really want to remember their name, you can write it down. If you have a spare moment, you go to the toilet or something, that way you can reference it again. If you write it down, it helps you to remember it more. One last ditch thing that you can do, if you've forgotten and you're taking their number or social media or something, you can say, "How do you spell your name?" So this can backfire if a name's super obvious. It can be obvious that you forgot, but if you judge the situation or you'd like to take the risk, it's an option. Ideally, just remember it first using the first 2 tips. I already made one video with 3 points on how to stop forgetting people's names. So here's 3 more points. In the last video, I mentioned a method where you ask them how they spell their name as you're exchanging contact details, which can be a bit risky because if it's an obvious spelling, then it can be clear that you forgot. An alternative to that is just ask them to write their contact in your phone, and there's a chance that they're going to spell it out for you. Second thing you can do is ask about the meaning of their name. Maybe make a joke, obviously not a rude one, about their name. Start some sort of conversation to do with whatever their name is. This way you're very likely to remember it. Third thing that you can do, say you're at, for example, a party of some kind and there's a bunch of people there and you have to remember their names. As you come out of the toilet or some area where you're sort of on your own for a few seconds or so, just look across the room and start listing people's names who are new in your head to recite them. Get in the habit of doing these often, you'll stop forgetting people's names.